join without video.
Oh my God. Holy crap.
There you are. Mute your speaker. You can't hear me, can you? Okay, so you're in. And do you know how to know who's in? You go to participants. Gives you a list of everybody who's there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's right in the middle of my screen.
Yes, and everybody is muted except Neil Beckerman. He's not muted.
I can't get this to go. It's right in the middle of the screen.
Where are you? Okay, wait. Go up to that little. Okay,
We see you.
there you go.
Hey.
Okay.
There you go. You're right.
Yeah, just trying to. Hey, everybody. Going to ask everybody to stay muted except for Denny, Steve, Greg, and Sarah, please. If you do have a question while we're going, you can certainly raise your hand or type it into the chat. We're still got more people joining, obviously. So I'm walking and chewing gum here, which I'm not very good at, so bear with me, please. This is great. Don't exceed capacity. We only get 100 on this. I didn't think we would get 50, and we're already up to 37, so that's a good thing. So we've got a few minutes to go yet. Obviously, we'll let
Sandra is not muted.
more people, joining. So,
Yeah.
Sandra, can you mute yours, please? Thank you.
It's on the back.
Not muted.
Hey, Al, can you mute yours? Thank you.
A couple who it's private and they're not muted.
Okay.
Denny, mute. Hi, Denny.
I gotta give like a bunch of permission. I don't know if it's working. Oh. Oh, sorry there.
Hey, the only people that everybody should be muted
Everybody should be muted.
except for Denny, Steve, Sarah, Greg, and myself. Thank you. Oh, goodness,
How many are you up to?
we are up over 60. We're going to max out, unfortunately.
That's
Or
a good
fortunately,
thing.
I guess.
That's a good thing.
Hi, Justin. So if you do have questions, you can certainly type them into the chat box, or you can go down below and raise your hand. We're going to do the best we can to get to everything, obviously. We've got certain areas and things that we do want to cover. For some reason, I can't get the participant box out of the middle of my screen.
Here.
I'm blocking somebody.
Here,
Mary, you
move
want to
it.
tell me how to do it?
Sweetie, just move it. Just move
You
it.
got to unmute yourself though, Mary. Oh,
I don't understand what you mean by you can't get the
well,
participant.
when I click on the participants so I can admit everybody,
Yeah,
comes up right in the middle of the screen instead of over in the corner. So
You should be able to minimize, like a minimize.
That's what I did. Yep.
Yeah,
Hi, Mary.
hi.
oh,
Hang on. Minimize.
And it should slide either to the side or,
yeah, that's where it was coming up
It's
before,
in this
but
view, I
okay, all right.
think.
Yeah. Thank you.
you good?
I think so.
Okay, I'm gonna,
Again, you know, I'm good at sitting and listening to these meetings, not running them necessarily, so. And I guess I don't really need to see it. It's just blocking,
Well, I can.
it's
see
just
that.
blocking Leonce anyway, so it's not a big deal. Sorry, Leonce.
Nice.
Perfect. He needs to be blocked.
All right, now I got it. Okay, cool. Got it up to the side. Wow. We're gonna max out in about 2 minutes, so.
One.
Oh boy, well, we're definitely gonna have to find a place to park this for people to look at later, so.
Are you recording? Yes.
Yes, this is being recorded, by the way, so everybody knows that. So don't say anything stupid. No, kidding. All right, I'm still admitting people here, so.
Only have one to go.
Yep.
You're there.
So I guess I'll apologize to those people later. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. As I asked earlier, if everybody could stay muted except for Steve, Denny, Sarah, and Greg Knight, myself for now. If you want to raise a hand and ask a question at some point, feel free to raise your hand and we can unmute you or ask you to unmute. If you want to type a question into the chat box, which is if you scroll down to put your cursor down to the bottom, you'll see all that stuff down there. You can type something into the chat box as well. I did get a couple that came in via email, which I'll get to when we get to that portion of it. But so what we're doing with this is trying to, this is our fall meeting. No kidding. But we're trying to get some information out to you and answer questions that you may have come up since the last few emails that have gone out. Because not much has changed since those emails, but maybe just talking about them will help clarify them a bit. So that being said, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. I'm going to actually hand it over to Denny and Steve. They're going to run through our lesson products, how those are changing time-wise, and then we'll move on from there. So Denny, it's all yours.
Oh, welcome and good evening. Nice to see all your smiling faces, even yours, Leonce. But
Whoa!
welcome.
Okay, wait a minute now.
Keep muted. Keep muted. Welcome to the 220-221 snow sports season. We've kind of been at this for the last 2 months, trying to look at the ever-evolving plan for how we're going to attack the snow sports school issue and deal with the current COVID situation. All our lessons this year are by reservation only. And let me say at this point that those lessons are also contingent upon your schedule that you've filled out or will be filling out for the year. Because we're down, our capacity is down because we probably lost about 100 people or so, Jay, due to one reason or another.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 80, but it's a lot. So more than normal.
Yeah. So obviously we're trying to develop a program where we establish social distancing and our lessons will reflect that. And Steve and I will kind of go through just some of the lesson products that we have and how, what that's going to look like. As far as the group lesson goes, where we used to have one at 10:30 and 2 o'clock, we will now have lessons at 10, 12, and 2. They will still be an hour and a half lesson. Adults will only take up to intermediate zones. And the kids section of the hill will take all levels. Our first timers will be 2-hour lessons. They will kick off at 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, and 2.
No,
So
just
they-
1:30.
1:30, did I say it?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, yeah, 2. 2, and they'll be 2 hours in length, okay? We're not gonna get into details right now, but just kind of giving you an idea of what we're looking at to establish this social distancing and reduce some of the class sizes. We will start our groups at age 6. We will no longer be taking 4 or 5-year-olds this year. We're starting at 6, and that's pretty common throughout the ski industry right now. We've been on webinars with the ski schools across the country, and it appears that everybody is kind of in sync with those guidelines. Group sizes, we're going to try to max out depending on the age and abilities, but a max of 3 will be this for the lower levels and the younger kids, 6 and 7 years old. And again, we may up that a little bit, but it would be dependent on how many assistants we have available at that time. For all the other groups beyond the beginners, the lower levels will be max of 5, and would be children and first-time adults. So max of 5 on those lower levels and beginner adults, and a max of 7 for adults. Okay. And again, this is contingent upon what we are. I hate to say this, but we've been on so many websites, and some of these non-caring snow sports schools refer to instructors as assets. Depending on how many assets we have. Okay, we like to think of them as instructors and people, as human beings. Okay, as opposed to assets. All right. So you're no longer an asset at Butternut. You would come to Butternut, please, because you're a human being here. So that's our group lesson scenario right now. And again, things may change as we move through, with whatever the state requirements are, CDC, and so on. So we're just kind of being flexible and adapt where we have to. Steve?
Okay, thanks, Dan. Again, to echo Denny, things are changing on a daily basis here. So as we move to private lessons, not a lot has changed. We did add more times. Private lessons now are 9, 10, 11, 1, 2, and 3. And the biggest change is the ages 3 to 5 will require a parent or a responsible adult to accompany the child in the lesson at all times. And they require a lift ticket. So then we have the family privates will be either 3 or 6 hours. So it'd either be at 9 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon for the family privates. So as I mentioned, there's not a lot of change, except we offer more times and we require an adult to be with the private lessons. Obviously, for those hands-on ADLs that we're all familiar with the 3 to 5-year-olds. Okay, then.
Now, the adventure of mini riders is going to be a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. There will be no all-day mini riders or adventurers. We were only offering half-day only with no lunch. There'll be a 2.5-hour 9:30 group grouping and a 1 o'clock for 2.5 hours. Okay? There'll be no lunch at all. We're only dealing with ages 6 through 13. So again, the 4 and 5-year-olds that Steve alluded to will not be a part of that. They would have to go into a private lesson. And again, all of this is by request, by reservation. Group sizes, max of 3 for the 6 and 7-year-old first timers and novice zone, max of 5 and above for the ages 8 and above in all the rest of the areas. Again, this is something we're trying to stick to, but again, it depends on our assets, our instructors, what we have available to go along with the request. or the reservations. Groups will meet on the hill as they always have been. When the max number has been reached for that particular group and ability, they will be sent on their way. Okay, that's what we're looking at right now. And once you depart the area, I would suggest taking a few, especially for those that think they're the uphill group. You may want to, like we always did, take a few runs on the little hill just to make sure that they are what they say they are. Okay. This year, we're going to make sure that children must be able to ride the paddy lift unassisted by themselves. Because of social distancing, there's going to be certain requirements there for riding the lift. Quad chairs, we can load 2 children or 1 child and an instructor or an assistant. So on the quad, there'll only be 2 people allowed to ride that lift. Okay, so here we go back to where the children must be able to at least ride the paddy chairlift. We should, if it's a cold day, a short hot chocolate break may be scheduled, and that would take place in Skiwee Land with Judy, but it would be very short, and it's a one-way process. You come up the stairs, get your hot chocolate, and you go out back through the stairs on the roof and out the back door. Okay, so it's a one-way only at this point. Okay. And again, we'll talk about these things in more detail as we move along, but these are the best laid plans we have right now. And again, obviously, you know how things can change, and we know that. Steve, talk about seasonal.
Okay. We have next our seasonal programs, which includes, all the multiple week programs. Some changes. We're going to, as we alluded earlier, that we're going to max out with the smaller kids of no more than 3 in a group, and with the older kids, no more than 5 to 7 in a group. Couple of the changes, women's program, 2 slots available only. The Explorers are probably capped out. Saturday program. For all you folks that want to be involved as instructors, we can still entertain that, but the program is sold out. Dev team is sold out. Dev program. We have the school programs, as you're aware, during the week. And right now we have 3 schools coming on Friday afternoon. And Wednesday, we may be entertaining schools, and that's still in the developing stage. So we're not quite sure how we're going to establish a guideline for large groups for their programs. Like Saturday program, we have 130 or so, how we're going to get them all grouped together and get them out of there safely and social distancing. So that's still in the works, and that's going to be the same for Explorers, the Dev, the large groups that meet. So stay tuned for further information on that. But the seasonal programs, you would think the COVID had impacted a lot. We're just as much as we were last year. And the industry has shown that there's more involvement with the snow sports throughout the country than ever before. All right.
Actually, Steve, with the Saturday program, we are actually ahead of what we sold last year. Last year, we sold 136 for the entire year, and that was 2 weeks after the program started. So we shut down Saturday program a month ago, actually 5 weeks ago, and we're at 143 at the moment. So, that'll tell you there's some demand out there.
Yeah.
Greg, do you want to talk about some of the changes that are going to take place with the race program?
Yeah, I think the biggest change that you're going to see for the race program is there's no lunch. We're going to go, Tri-State's going to go from 8:30 to 1:30 direct or straight through. And Interclub will go 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock straight through. Because the lodge is so limited, coaches will obviously be able to take their kids into, for 10, 15-minute break at the most, to grab a bite to eat, to use facilities, whatever. And that's the biggest change you're going to see on the interclub. We haven't capped our numbers yet, although development team, Bruce, we have capped our numbers. But other than that, we're still waiting to see how the restrictions between states are still affecting us, and that's an ongoing situation. So that's basically it for on the race program.
Okay, thanks, Greg. As far as the race numbers go, I haven't looked at them since Wednesday, but they were running right about where they were last year. The deadline for the season pass latest reduced price is this weekend, or actually tomorrow. So that should impact those numbers as well. And we may have to talk about whether we shut those down too, based on what we have staff-wise for you guys. So a couple of questions that have come in. Somebody asked about who's going to boot up the school groups. What we've done with the school programs this year, the ones that are coming, they all have to have seasonal rentals because they're not going to be allowed to go into the rental building. The rental building can only hold 47 people at a time. We're limited to one person per 1,000 square feet. So that's 47 also includes employees, of which there are a minimum of 12, probably closer to 14, 15, or 16 on a given day. So the school program cannot hit that the way they've hit it in the past. So they're all going to have to get out of their cars in the parking lot and walk to their meeting spots. So that they're going to have to come. Hopefully they're going to come with their ski boots and snowboard boots on and just walk out to their lesson spot. So
the schools aren't busing them here this year. Did you guys?
Go ahead, Sarah.
Sorry. Did you talk about how the school groups are only going to be on Wednesdays and it'll be mixed?
Well, Steve mentioned that earlier with the local schools. We still have some of the private schools coming. We have why am I drawing a blank? We have BCD. Haven't heard from Hawk Meadow
Waldorf.
on Fridays, and St. Mary's is coming on Mondays, and then Waldorf on Tuesday.
Right.
Those are very, very small, so they don't impact us very much. The Tuesday and Thursday schools will all be coming on Wednesday. So we're still working out the details on that. We don't know how many people are going to come. So that
And
is,
they have to be transported by their parents. So hopefully that'll help with just the kids already being prepared to go straight out to the lesson meeting area and skipping over rentals. So.
all right. I see a bunch of questions coming in. I'm going to try to get to my point first, and then I'll go back through. Maybe some of what I'm going to say will answer some of those questions. I'm not sure. But, as far as what we're going to have to do as staff, we're going to have to make some adjustments in how we do things. The lounge is going to be available, but very limited availability on that. What we're hoping to do is have everybody coming to work dressed, ready to go, minus their ski boots or snowboard boots. We're going to try to make it so that we can get 15 to 20 people. I've got to actually look at those numbers tomorrow, maybe closer to the 15 that will be able to come up in 15-minute time slots to be able to boot up and then get out onto the snow. We just can't have a whole lot of people in that building. That room actually is going to be impacted by that 1 per 1,000 square feet too, and I haven't measured that one out. I didn't think we were going to have to worry about that because it's not a public area. But after talking with Paul Maloney at Jiminy, every area has to be taken into account, whether it's public or private. So that's something I'm going to have to look at. We're all going to have to wear masks from the time we step out of the car to the time we step back into the car, except if you're eating or skiing down the hill. They are requiring masks in lift line, masks in all the buildings, masks on the chairlift. Right? So we're not going to be allowed to have any bags staying up in the lounge. The bathrooms will be available for anybody that needs them up there. So you can come and go to use those. Lunch breaks, we're going to stagger those. That's one of the reasons we've changed the timing on the lessons to make it easier to stagger people into that room for lunch. We are also going to use the skiwee lunchroom for lunches. Okay. So again, we'll have to be staggering those and we'll have to be watching the numbers on those. Obviously, you can certainly use your vehicle if you'd rather do that. I did get an email question about parking for the staff. If, you know, originally we talked about using cars as your lodge, realizing that that's somewhat unrealistic. If somebody gets there late and is parked over by tubing, that's an awful long walk. So we are going to be allowing some folks to park up in the upper lot. It's going to be minimal up there. The lot that we call the employee lot will be also available for us. They are not going to be saving spots for us. So I'd get there early if you don't want to walk a long way. I would also invest in a pair of cat tracks or ski tracks to protect the base of your boots if you're going to be walking to and from your car. You got snowboard boots, you're all set. So can't hurt those things. So they don't have releasable bindings. End of the day, we're going to also be doing the same thing, staggering the removing of the boots, you know, taking your boots off. The race program is actually going to be the first ones morning, and they'll be the first ones in the afternoon too, because programs will be ending early, right? So Greg and I have talked about that and seems to be working. Then we'll figure out the programs. We will probably give you a schedule once we know who's doing what. So you'll know when you can come in. If you miss your time slot, you're going to have to find another way to do it or hope there's an opening because we're so limited on the numbers. So, at the lineup times, we're going to have, like I said, masks and social distancing. Al was pointing out all you have to do is hold your ski poles out. And if you hit anybody, they're too close. So hit them hard so they move away. So, all right, that's as much as I got on the staffing. But for the indoor stuff, the lodges and food and whatnot, the lodge capacity is going to be severely limited. It's going to be 50%. We can put in the lodges of what we would normally host. I don't have the numbers of what we can actually host in those under normal circumstances. But when you see the way the tables are spaced out for social distancing, we can't actually even reach the 50% capacity level with the tables. And, you know, you're going to have 4-seaters, you're going to have 6-seaters. We have a few 8-seaters. You know, there's going to be 3 people sit down at a 6-seat table and that table's gone. So it's going to be tough to find seating for sure. You certainly can find a place to stand and warm. When you're going into the buildings, if you're just going in to warm up, you're going to be able to stay in there for about 15 minutes. If you're going in to eat, you're going to have 45 minutes. The only way you can actually go in there to eat is if you purchase food in the lodge. We're not going to allow brown bags in the lodge. We have made probably 4 dozen picnic tables that are going to be scattered around the base area, over on the cruiser deck, underneath the pines by the race video building, more tables up at the upper lodge, more tables at the lower lodge.
Food trucks.
Food truck, yeah, we are going to have a food truck underneath the pines behind the ticket booths by the big trail map sign. That one, unfortunately, will not get an employee discount because it's not our food truck. So there will also be a food truck over at the tubing center. So kind of a long walk for lunch, but if you need a late afternoon snack before you go home, that's another option. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So if you're brown bagging, you're going to have in your car. But there are a lot of places to sit. We are going to have minimal heaters out there. The problem is, and for them to actually work, you have to be too close for the social distancing to work. So that's kind of a moot point. We talked about tents. We looked at a tent to rent for December, January, February was $61,000. So, and if you put a tent up with sides on it, it's now a building and you're running out of the allotted space. Holy mackerel, we're using up some time. I just got the 10-minute warning on our meeting. So we'll go as long as we can go. So You're not going to have allowed to have bags in the lockers. So, the race kids are going to have to bring what they need with them. You guys, if you're going to be taking your bags out of the instructor's lounge, you can't put them in a lodge. I would suggest bringing a small knapsack that you can stuff in one of the lockers, because those lockers will not take our big bags that most of us carry. You can't move tables or chairs in the lodges. Parents aren't going to be able to hang out and work on laptops down there. We have all the PPE you could imagine, hand sanitizing stations everywhere, all by the doors going out. Plexiglass guards at all the places that handle money or boots and skis in the rental shop. We will be supplying masks to our staff. We will supply, these are reusable masks that can be washed up to 100 times. Part-timers will each get one, full-timers will get two. You certainly can bring your own masks if you'd like. The video building is going to be a grab and go food option. You can ski up to the window, buy something, ski away and eat it. So, hey, I'm rushing through this stuff. Just,
I hate to say this, but some of your guys are saying that help you and have Zoom unlimited if you want to continue, and they'll give you their thing. Address that.
okay, so if somebody's offering to extend the meeting by using their Zoom, that'd be awesome. I don't know how we do that, but
It's salad to everyone.
definitely work on it. So paperwork and the onboarding process, you should have all received.
Jay,
Yeah.
Jay,
Yep.
if you just go in, whoever set up the meeting, if you go in, you can go into your settings and change who your host is. You can make Steve the host, and then you'll have more time.
Okay.
You can select, like if you find his picture, you can just click on those three dots and you can make him the host.
Okay.
There he is.
I did.
In the upper right-hand corner.
It's on the upper right-hand corner, so. Bear with me, folks, sorry.
Steve Newman.
Over here.
Okay, so yes, those three dots.
Steve, you want to take over the hosting?
He
Okay,
can't hear you.
you can hear me. That's
I
right.
don't see him. Oh, there he is.
Oh, okay, hopefully that did it. So, so the paperwork, you should have all received something from Sarah or from Sarah. You can jump in and get the right name of that. I thought it was coming from Paychecks, but it's another process, another name.
Yeah, Paychecks, we didn't realize this when we first sent out the original email, but Paychecks uses a third party called My Staffing Pro. So the email is coming from, the sender is Butternut Basin Inc. My Staffing Pro's name is on there. When you fill out the paperwork, it comes back to Paychecks. So I actually got a ton of paperwork today. So thank you guys. Just keep that coming. There have been some people who have had some problems signing in with the program not recognizing your email address. I think I have figured out what the issue was. So just shoot me an email at the Butternut address and I'll get you on. Actually, when I sign off tonight, I'm gonna go through everybody who has not sent me their paperwork yet and check to make sure that that particular glitch is fixed. So hopefully by tomorrow, anyone who still needs to do their paperwork won't have any problems. Not a lot of people have filled out their calendars yet. And, you know, as Denny mentioned, first thing, that is essential this year because we have to base how many lessons we can sell a day on your calendars. Somebody did actually ask if there was any flexibility with the calendar. I mean, obviously we'll have to be flexible with everything this year, but we need a starting point really. So get on those calendars if you haven't done them yet.
And Sarah, if I may, if you're sick, stay home. But
Yeah.
let us know.
We're even
Not feeling
yeah.
well, you have a personal issue come up, or whatever it may be. just let us know, call the office, send an email, so that we can adjust the counts, because it's going to be really crucial this year. In terms
Yeah.
of calendar.
Yeah, basically, as soon as you know you're not going to be able to make it on a particular day, just let us know. And we're also, I mean, it's not just with the employees. Basically, with our lesson cancellation policy, that's going to be a lot more flexible this year too, because we obviously don't want any parents bringing their kids to the adventures program if they're not feeling well, just because they don't want to lose their money for the day. So, you know, we are definitely going to be flexible with everything this year and understanding if you can't make it, but don't let that keep you from filling out your calendar, because that has to be our starting point, basically.
Hey, and follow up to the paperwork and the onboarding process. Once you've gone through that, you will get a notification from a company called ProtectWell. And I don't know whether you can see this or not, but that's what it looks like on your phone. And that's what we're using for everybody to clear themselves. That's your wellness check for the day that you're coming to work. Right. So they will send that to you, and then you just set up an account. You can log into it every morning. I do it every morning just because it's easier. There's 4 questions you have to ask. And if you don't, then we're going to have to take your temperature, and you're going to have to sit inside until you warm up so we can take the temperature and all that stuff. So this is just an actual easy way to do it. It's with Health New England and the CDC. So it is legit. We've checked it 100 times. Crispin's been on top of that. So, you know, if you get it, please download it and use it, because it'll just make our lives a lot easier. And that's for everybody. As far as the calendars go, obviously we don't need a race count. We don't need calendars from the race coaches. Greg knows when they're going to be there. Roland knows when they're going to be there. We don't need calendars from the supervisors. I know when you're going to be there. Just the part-timers, essentially. Even the full-timers, the calendars at this point, because we're going to be working with them.
Jay,
Yeah.
let me just chime in for just a second that we're still requiring all employees who swipe in, and
Yes.
you're going to move the swiper to the near the door where the water cooler is.
Right. As you come upstairs to boot up, you can swipe in right there. You'll get your new ID cards. That helps Sarah with the payroll. It's imperative that you do it all. And then we can cross-check it against to see whether you've actually done your wellness check too. And this is all for contact tracing. That's why we have to do this. Okay.
So it does, you know, even though the race team has kind of split off from the ski school this year, it does still apply to the race
Right.
coaches as well. I need
Yep.
everybody to swipe in. The
Absolutely.
time of day really doesn't matter. It's helpful because it lets Jay know first thing in the morning. You know, if you're able to do it before the first lineup, it lets Jay know who has shown up, who said they were going to. For payroll purposes, as long as you swipe in at some point during the day, that's okay.
And also, as a reminder, do not swipe out because it takes you out of the system. So just swipe in. That's all you need to do. So
Hey,
yeah.
Jay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. The host switch did not work in terms of time increase. We have less than a minute,
Okay.
but we should be able to reuse the same link theoretically to get back in after this meeting ends. It doesn't always work, but typically it does.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Sally.
We're pretty much done with what I wanted to talk about, other than we're going to also offer, and we're probably going to end up buying Zoom through the mountain, so we won't be restricted by these 40-minute time slots. But we're going to do some training Zoom meetings, talking about teaching skills and people skills, and everybody is invited to those. Racers are included if they'd like to join in on those. I don't know what the schedule and that's going to be just yet. I was going to try to do it next week, but I have webinars every night next week with PSIA, so it's going to be a little tough to do that. But I'm going to also now see if I can get to some of those questions while we have some time. Oh,
Either say goodbye or you need to either
okay.
descend.
Would we like to stay on for another 10 minutes so we go through the questions? I know there's a bunch, so